Greetings, this is Eduardo Jumbo. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to automate speech recognition using the Whisper AI and the Tiny English model. Also, be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. Alright, so let's get on to today's tutorial. So this should be pretty straightforward. I'm using the Tiny English so that you should be able to run this on any CPU, including something like a Raspberry Pi. You don't need anything powerful. You don't need the GPU. Obviously, if you have the GPU, you can use one of the bigger models, but there's no need. Oh, and of course, you can also translate. So this one is only for English. I'll show you where you can get them to decide which one works best for you. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the Tiny English. And of course, we're going to also do this inside a Podman container. Podman Compose container. The reason for that is simply that by containing everything, it will be easy to replicate. For example, you guys can just take my code, my containers, and just replicate the same thing. And also, one thing I noticed about things when you're using especially Python is that when you use pip to install dependencies, it's very hard to uninstall them. It's easy to install, it's very hard to uninstall. So the dependency management is not very good for uninstalling. So for example, when you try to install especially AI stuff, by default it's going to put in a whole bunch of NVIDIA GPU drivers and NVIDIA specific things. Because, for example, in my system in text I have a GTX 950, so it says, oh, you have a NVIDIA GPU, so it brings in gigabytes. It's not the space that's a problem, it's just that it's hard to remove them after. So in a container, it's easier. You can just get rid of the volume of the container itself. Okay, so what is Whisper? Whisper Tiny English. It's an open source language model. It's a list under the MIT license. We'll verify that in a second. It's very small, about 700 megabytes, and it's fast interference even on modest CPUs. Remember, my CPU came out in 2011. It's Intel i7 2600, and obviously this one is only trained for English. It's great for quick demos and lightweight deployment, as you will see today. So before we get into the setup here, what you do is you simply go to the website is Whisper. You see there's a GitHub here. It's a little glare, I don't know why that is. github.com/OpenAI/Whisper. So you see here, this is it right here, and it always tells you the license. We'll take a look at that in a second. You see it's a list under the MIT license, so we verified that. And as you can see, if we scroll down, it shows you how to use it and how to install it as well. For example, you can use pipe to install OpenAI Whisper. And then, or you can alternatively get it from the GitHub as well by installing it that way. And then you can you can also upgrade as well. And then the different ways, for example, I'm using Fedora Linux. So for me to be, you need FFmpeg. So for me to be DNF, install FFmpeg. If you're on a Debian type system, it's apt-get install FFmpeg. If you're an Arch Linux, Pacman, Mac OS, you use Brew. Brew, I believe now, is cross-platform compatible for Linux, Mac, and I was going to say OS, Mac OS. Or in Windows, you can use Choco or Scoop. Alright, and then of course you need Rust rules installed as well, so you can install that using pipe. This is what I was saying, see all these dependencies? It's better to put all this stuff inside a container, so that way it's more reproducible, and it's just inside that container. So if things don't work, or you get fed up with it, or you don't want to remove it, it's just easier to remove it. So this is why I chose the Tiny. You see the Tiny is 39, the parameter is 39M, and as you can see, English only model, it's Tiny English. If you want the multilingual model, the Tiny one, the VRAM required would be about 1 gigabytes. So even that one, that could run on my system right now, because my system is 2 gigabytes for the VRAM. However, remember I said OBS uses some, and obviously the monitor, so that could still probably work. And it's you see it tells you how fast it is. You see it's 10 times the relative speed. You can get the base. The base one is just 74, so I could have used that as well. This English one is for base English. There's small, medium, large, and turbo. So I have tested, I believe last year I tested a small. I might be wrong, I don't think it was tiny at base. I believe I tested the small, that worked fine on my system. So obviously you can use base and tiny. Remember, I only did English. Just remember that when you use the multilingual ones, they're going to be a little bit bigger. Actually, probably much bigger, because obviously as more languages come in, they'll get larger and larger. But I tested it, and you will see today it was actually very, very tiny. Works perfect for me. All right, now with that said, you can also obviously train it, but today we're not training. Today we're just actually going to use a pre-trained model, English version only. Okay, so that's it. Let's get started here. So I have some files here. You see I have a Docker file, I have a Docker Compose, and I have my app.py Python file. So let's open up all these files. Open all these files up for you guys. I'm going to use the num editor here. Okay, so the lot of stuff open here. Don't need this. I need that. So let's start with a Docker file. I think this is how it usually goes. Yeah, like this. Okay, so you guys are watching on vertical screen. I'm going to zoom in here for you so we can see the Docker file. Oops, wrong one. Docker file here. So I'm going to use a Python 3.10 Slim. The reason I'm going to use the Slim version is because if you use the regular Python 3.10, it's going to bring in a lot of dependency. It's like I think about 2 gigabytes of space. The Slim one, I think it's 100. So, and I said I don't need all that stuff. And I'll tell you another reason for that as well. And then obviously you can install, you see it's a Debian based, so yeah, I need to install FFmpeg, so that's here. And then pip upgrade, pip. And then you need, because when you care about the CPU, we still need PyTorch, Torch Vision, and Torch Audio. That's obviously, and this is, I get them from pytorch.org, and you see we specify that when you want the CPU version. So some people asked before if they can run something like this on, say, a Raspberry Pi. Absolutely you can, especially if it's only CPU only. If you don't specify it, it will detect your GPU. Now, of course, if you're on a Raspberry Pi and you actually run this command right on the Raspberry Pi, it will detect that obviously it doesn't have a GPU. But in my case, it always picks up the GPU and it will install so much stuff. So just be specific, and that's how you do that. And then after that, pip install OpenAI Whisper. So we install Whisper and we install Flask as well. So why do we need Flask? That's because, as I said, I'm making an app. This app, although the first time you run it, it's going to be in the command line, it's actually going to be done in a web browser. And I'll show you all that when we continue here. And then the work directory is the /app, and then the command to run is python app.py. So I'll show you that file last when we finish here. That's why I needed Flask. Flask is basically a web server to communicate between the user input and the server itself in the container. So next we have the Podman Compose here. So let's go to Podman Compose. You might say, why did you use Python 3.1 Slim instead of, say, Python 3.9? As I said before, if you leave it like this, it's going to download too many dependencies. It takes up too much space, especially if you don't want to download all of that. Now, the reason I left it here in the article is because, as you notice, in previous tutorials where you're actually using Python 3.9. So I wanted, if you guys still have that code, you can simply, with the containers around, it will still continue to use it. Okay, let's go now to the Podman Compose YAML file. So version 3, the version doesn't really matter. It's compatible with 3.8, 3.7, 3 services. We're going to use the Whisper. I'm going to build, see the build with the period here, or the dot. that will grab everything from the relative path. So obviously the main one is our Docker file, and the ports 5000 to 5000, the volumes, everything in the relative path into the /app, and then the model, we want to cache it. The reason you want to cache is so that every time you run this, it doesn't download everything all over again. This is one of those things which I wish was better documented, because when people tell you, oh look, you just do this, you just do this. So the thing is, if you're using a pre-compiled container that already has that, yes, it will be smart enough, especially Podman. I'm not sure about Docker. Podman will be smart enough to know that, oh yeah, it's already here, I don't need to download it again, it already exists. But you see, if you have commands like this one here, it's going to run this over and over and over again. So we don't want that, so that's why it's good to have a cache folder, so that way it won't run those things over and over again. It'll be faster as well, because you can start stop several times. For example, I can start, if I already had this download and everything, would have started it without me having to having to download everything all over again from scratch and installing and all that. And I said, especially if you have a GPU, it's going to it's going to take a while to get all that stuff over and over again. So that's why cache. As I said, I wish they shout about caching. That's very, very important. I found it really annoying when I'm working with the AI to always have to download the stuff over again from scratch. It's really frustrating. That's why I looked into caching the things. Okay, and we talked about the working directory or folder. And the restart, you set it to unless stopped, meaning that if it stops, it will restart again. That's another thing that I had to figure out on myself. Funny enough, is when I was actually working on something from Docker, and then I was like, why is this mentioned in Podman? Or why is this better? Yeah, so that's that you want that as well, because obviously this has to be running. Remember, running Flask, and then the command is Python app.py. So the reason for this, you guys, if you're paying attention, you have noticed, hey, wait a minute, you still have it here in the Docker. The reason for this is because I believe there are some versions of Podman that do not do this. They do understand it in the Podman Compose, but they don't run it in the Docker, because remember, the Docker file was meant for Docker. So Docker, where you need root access or super admin users. So Podman is rootless. So I'm perfectly fine by putting it here instead. And the volumes, obviously, we have the whisper -model cache. All right. Next, we need to create our the Python file. So I'm going to show you this one here. I'm zoom in as well, and you see from Flask import Flask request JSON file and render template. So it's going to import whisper, obviously, and a temp file, and then obviously the Flask here, and we load our model. The model is the Tiny.en. So this is another reason I was saying why we have a cache. Because if this code right here, every single time you run this, it's going to try to download it again. So that's why I said it's good to have a cache, so it will prevent it from downloading again. It will see, oh, it already exists, then it will stop. That's why I said caching is very important. Okay, here our default route is obviously /, meaning that once you go to when you open up your web browser, that's how it will be. It's perfectly fine. And then what we'll do is we're going to render our index.html. I'll show you this in a second. It's very simple, just HTML files. And then we have another route called transcribe. So this means that when you post things to this transcribe URL, it will then transcribe it, meaning that it will request the audio. It will copy the audio from the posted or uploaded audio file, and then it will temporarily create an MP3 file. That's why we needed the temp file here. It will save it, and then it will transcribe. So model transcribe, it will transcribe it, and then it will return the result, a JSON file. If you remember, by default, if you just run the default thing, what Whisper does, it creates, I think, 3 files. One is a JSON file, one is an SRT for what do you call it, captions, and then the other one is just text. So we want the JSON file result, and that's what that's gonna do here. You can specify it, and that's what we did here. And of course, the last part of our file here, it will run. You see the port 5000. I set debug to true. The reason for that is so that if there's any issues, we can figure them out. This is very good for debugging, of course, when you're a programmer. Okay, so that's our app here. Now we need to look at our index file. So if you notice here, it says render_template. For some weird reason, you literally need to create a template folder and put it inside there. So that's what I did here. If you see, it has to be called templates and our index.html. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to. Okay, so that's our index so HTML. So I'll zoom in here a little bit. Oops. Okay, there we go. See, it's just plain HTML. I didn't even bother putting the doc type there, but it's HTML5. The body, see, we have an H2 tag. You just say Whisper Voice Recorder, Tiny English, and they have two buttons. One is to start recording, one is to stop recording. Obviously, start recording means that it will record when somebody's speaking, and when you click stop, it will auto transcribe it, and the transcription will appear here in this paragraph. Between the paragraph types, see there's an ID called transcription, and this is the script, JavaScript. We use the media recorder, so you get the audio chunks, which will be an array. So we start recording. You need the permission to get the audio, and the media recorder. You get the stream. You start the stream, and then on data available, you push them into the event data into the audio chunks array, or it will be a buffer. And then after that, when it's stopped, what we do is we create a blob, audio blob, from the chunks, and the type will be audio/mp3. Then the form data, we append that audio blob, and we rename it recording.mp3, and then we use fetch to remember. Now we're sending it to the transcribe URL /transcribe, and then the method is post, in the body the form data, which was just what we did there. And then we look for the result, which is JSON. If it's a JSON file, then what we do is we basically parse the data.text into our paragraph here, the transcription.inner text. And then after that, we reset the audio chunks to nothing, so that the can start recording again. And you see here, function stop recording. It just grabs the media recorder and stops it. So that's it. Nice simple function for JavaScript. So if some of this is complicated for you guys, it should not be, because I've done this a few times, especially last year. So there are a lot of tutorials. If you want me to go over this again in the future, I can. But this is pretty straightforward. Basically, if you run this, you do need to have a server to run this because of the permissions. But if it's a local host, you don't need to have a secure certificate. It will not work with a self-signed certificate. You need a certificate, but at least if it's localhost, they know that obviously you're testing locally, so that will be perfectly fine. So that will work, but you will need a certificate to get this to work. And I've also done tutorials actually this year where I created self-signed certificates and get them to work in both Android for the PWA app. I showed you how to do that as well, and also for regular Android applications. Okay. So with that said, let's now jump to the command line and start our, this time I'll use the console. Just a second here, I'll clear it up so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'll zoom in. So now with all the code I've shown you, so all you have to type is Podman -compose build. That's what you have to do. So when you when you build, it's going to build the it's going to build it, but then you need to run. So in our case, because it doesn't exist, we can just say up. That's a great thing about using Podman, and you'll see obviously it's running some cached versions, so it doesn't have to create everything from scratch. So we just need to wait, because I think I might have deleted everything, so we'll just wait for it to complete, and I'll show you. You will know when it's complete, because it will, yeah, see, it's downloading, and it's using the Flask app, and it says this is a development server, do not use in production, use a production WSGI server instead. And I said this is just for my local, so that's perfectly fine. And you see I can run it on localhost 0.0.0.0.0 if in case you didn't know that. I can also use the 127.0.0.0, and the port is 5000:5000, and it also has an internal IP address just for the between the container and my workstation. So this one would work as well, but this one is only going to work on this machine. It's not going to work outside unless I do some fancy things I'm not going to do. But if I get the IP address of this machine, I can then run it on my phone, and I'll show you that in a second. I already know it, and I'll show you how to get it. So if you notice, I didn't put app-detach, because the reason I didn't do that, I wanted to show you guys if when you don't do that, so if this is another way you can debug, because it will dump things in here, and then you know, see it says debug on. So that's why I did that. Otherwise, if I put a detach or hyphen detach or -d, it will not show this. So as you can see now, I can just click here, and it will open up in a browser, but I want to use a specific browser. So I want to use Chromium. It's still crashing, but it's been way more stable. So just type HTTP : 127.0.0.1, I think it was, and 5000. You see, there we go. So I can record. See, it says voice recorder, Tiny English. I purposely made it bigger, and transcription. So I'm going to talk, and you guys will see this working. So I'll start, and now so I need to allow. Remember, it's localhost, so allow. That's perfectly fine. Yes, I've allowed it. Now I'm speaking, and it should be able to pick up my voice perfectly when I hit the stop button. So I'm going to hit the stop button now. Oops, something must have gone wrong. Let's see what's going on here. No, nothing's wrong there. Maybe just, oh, there we go. It just took a while. Again, because of OBS. I keep on forgetting about OBS. OBS is using a lot of resources. So there we go. So I'll read what it says. Yes, I have allowed it now speaking, and it should be able to pick up my voice perfectly. And when I hit the stop button, so I'm going to hit the stop button now. So as you can see, it does work. It's actually much faster than what you guys have just seen. The reason I said is because OBS, and I'm guessing this camera, which is actually just a screencast of score copy, I think it's a little bit slow. But here, I'm going to start again, and I have hit the start button again. I think in the future what I will do is I should have an indicator that the start button has been clicked, because you see right now there's no indicator that the start button is there, and also obviously stop. So that's something we can improve on this application in the future, but for now I'm going to hit the stop button right now, and let's wait. Maybe I should also put a time and see how long it takes. There we go. And it says I have hit the start button again. And I think in the future what I should do is I should have an indicator that the start button has been clicked, because you see right now there's no indicator that the start button is there, and obviously stops. So that's something we can improve on this application in the future, but for now I'm going to hit the stop button right now. You see, it works absolutely fine. Now, as I said, it's actually much faster. It's because OBS is also running. And obviously it's running in a container. So obviously, if you have a faster CPU, if you have a modern CPU, this will be flying. this should be flying. And you see, I'm not using a GPU. So fantastic. So I'm gonna now try it on my phone. You guys see it? Okay, there we go. So let's see. Let me go back to the command and I'll show you how to get to the IP address. Obviously, you can go to your router. I'll just open up a new one here. What you do is, let me actually clean this up. Okay. So what you do is, if you're on a Linux type systems, you type if config. If you're on Windows, you type ipconfig. So if you're on Mac OS, it should also be the same. It should be if config. So if I type if config, all I care about is, you see, it tells me my IP address is right here. So that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to go back to my phone, and I'm going to show you guys that it does work on the phone as well. Oops, that's the phone. Also, I'll use Chromium browser there. So type 192. Okay, change this, edit to 5,000. 5,000. There we go. It's I did not do it, but it's gonna be really tiny. Can I flip it? There we go. I'll flip the phone so you guys can see. Oh, come on, flip. There we go. So you guys should be able to see that. Yeah, you see, it also works on the phone. Actually, I'm gonna I'll try it on the phone. Oh, that's really ugly. It can't really. Okay, so I'll do something very quickly on the phone. Here, I'm on the phone right now, so I'm gonna hit stop right now. Man, that is so small. I should have. Okay, just wait a few seconds. Hopefully it worked. I don't know if I clicked it, so I'm not sure it's gonna work. How long did that take? I think a few seconds. Okay. I think I might not have hit the. It's so small. But yeah, as you can see, it does work. Did it come up? No, not yet. I think I didn't hit this start button. Yep. Let me try one more time. Okay, I hit the start button. Oh, I can't even. It's so small. Yeah, it's too small. I can't click it. It's too tiny. So I'll just close that. But it does work on the phone. All right. So so this is a quick way you can easily transcribe things, as you just saw. As you have seen. So that's this was just a fun little app you guys can try yourself. So what I'm saying is that when you learn how to program, you can use some third-party resources. Remember, this is all local, so none of this data is going out to the internet or anything. This is local. So if you want to create your own little transcription, you can do that as well. Now, of course, you can also optimize it. You can also train it for your own. And you see, I didn't even train this Whisper AI. I used the tiny one. Obviously, if you maybe if you don't speak English very well, maybe one of the bigger models will work very well. I'm very happy with the results. Obviously, having a decent microphone also helps because it will be clear. And it will be easier to transcribe. All right, now that's it. Let's finish this up. So the code is all here on ojambo.com. The link will be in the description. You can just expand and grab all the code and just do the same thing the way you want. And obviously, you can style the HTML the way you want for the mobile phones and all that as well. So you can also have screenshots. And you can see when it's running here and just there. I just said 1, 2, 3. So for example, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So I hit stop. You see, there we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I think that was actually wrong. I think I said again. So you can tell some of the it's not it might not be too perfect. I think that the reason I think is because I was trying to hum a song, so it got really confused because what I did say was 1, 2, 3 but then the last part that says there we go, which is incorrect. But something simple like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that should be straightforward. Yeah, we go. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you know, I just realized, I guess if you just speak one sentence, it's also much faster. So there you go. So if you just want to send 1, 2, 3, then it will be much faster. If you have a long one, it has to, because you have to remember, it has to save it, then it has to upload it, and then it has to transcribe it, and then send you back the results. Now, if you could do something where you use pure web RTC, where you just send the stuff over, yeah, then it will be much faster, the transcriptions. All right, and if you go back here to the article, you can see I also have the video. So this is live. So as you can see there, it's just a few, I think it's just maybe some milliseconds behind. Okay, so there's also before and after training, so you can also use this for training. I was going to do training, but I decided I think I will do that in probably the next time we touch on this, because I didn't want to make this tutorial too complex. I wanted to make it simple, because if I did the training, then it will get way too complex. But I want to do something simple so you guys get the get how it works. And for example, you notice that when I tried to hum that song, it was wrong. So clearly there's room for improvement. So I can obviously get a bigger model, the English model, or better yet, I could train this one to my I guess to my voice humming, and then it will be even perfect. But I like it. It's way better than it was. I think last time I tried this was last year, so I'm pretty happy with that. All right, you can obviously fine tune it, better noise tolerance, and I said the biggest thing is having a better audio source, meaning that if your microphone is better, then the results will be better. You don't just have to do recording. For example, you can have something pre-recorded. It could be like a movie, a song. It will do much better because those ones are obviously they use high-end microphones, and you know there's no noise and anything like that as well. So those will be easier. But for you, for example, me right now, the fans are blowing like crazy. I'm gonna go switch on the air conditioner, or at least the air exchanger soon, because now I don't have to worry about the chicks. So yeah, then obviously there will be some noise as well. Okay, so what else? If I have some related resources, I have the Learning Python book available on Amazon, link in the description. And I also have the course, Learning Python course, available on jamboshop.com. The link is also in the description. If you need help, like one-on-one Python tutorials or Whisper installation and training support, I'm available at jambo.com/contact. And tomorrow. Thanks again, and be sure to subscribe, like, follow, and leave comments for more frequent content. Okay, guys? See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Tonight.